right, everyone, we're going to get started. Day 2 of Ignite, the 5 o'clock session, and you guys made it. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it, and we're ready for a great session. We make sure we get you out on time so you can get to dinner or whatever else you have planned for the rest of the evening. So yeah, thanks for being here. So today we're going to talk about role-based agents and what those are. We're going to spend some time sort of walking through it. Quick look at the agenda. We're going to talk about what and why on role-based agents. We're going to dig into Copilot for Sales, which is our most mature role-based agent. We'll then have Karan and Jason join me on stage, and we'll have a little bit of a conversation with Eaton, who are using a bunch of these tools and capabilities. And then we'll move into Copilot for Finance and then our future roadmap. So before we sort of kick off, I guess I should introduce myself. My name's Aaron Bjork. I'm a product manager at Microsoft, and I lead a bunch of these Copilot apps that we're going to talk about today. So thanks for being here, and we're looking forward to walking through all of this with you. Before I sort of jump into what role-based agents are, I want to kind of step back and reflect a little bit on where we're at in this AI explosion or transformation or revolution or whatever you want to call it. It was really about 2 years ago, right now, that ChatGPT burst onto the scene. And I'm sure many of you remember that. ChatGPT became the fastest growing application in the history of the world. It gathered 100 million users in just 2 months after being launched on November 30th of 2022. I can remember that at the beginning of November, I didn't know what the words or letters GPT meant. I can clearly remember that. By the middle of December, not only did I understand it, I had used it. My parents knew what it was. My siblings knew what it was who are not in tech. My kids were using it. It's incredible how fast this technology has sort of burst onto the scene and is really disrupting everything that we do. It truly is reshaping our industries and the applications. And it's driving a wave of innovation into application development and especially business applications. Now, when we think about business applications, I think we've experienced change over the past few decades, but if you kind of reflect on what business applications are, they fundamentally have been forms over data for most of the past 30 plus years. When we started on the mainframe, maybe some of us in the room are old enough to remember what it looked like on the mainframe, but if you started on the mainframe, it was essentially forms over data with a very bad UI. We then moved to personal computers. And when we had PCs, again, it was forms over data. The form factor was largely the same. In the early 2010s, we went through a wave of moving all of our kind of server-based applications to the cloud, running as SaaS applications, software as a service. And then, of course, we've all got mobile devices in our pockets, and we can access all those applications and all that data through mobile. But for the most part, business applications have not changed. And yet now, with AI and with Copilot, we really have a chance to kind of reimagine what business apps look like from the ground up. So they're really starting to take shape in a new way, and I think that's what's fun about the moments that we're living through. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. We know that AI allows us to achieve a lot more. I'm sure you guys have seen 100 different versions of a slide like this over the past few days, but I really do think it's true. I think that we can not only generate content and new content with Gen AI, we can spark creativity because all of us who are creative now have new tools in our tool belt that we can use and access. There's no doubt that we can complete work faster, start automating tasks. And I think for me, we can really start to find the signal amidst the noise. When I talk to leaders within different industries and at different organizations, they all tell me that they have plenty of data. Nobody needs more data. They're just struggling with knowing how to use it and putting that data to work for their businesses and their organizations. And I think we have an opportunity now to really start doing that. So what is a role-based agent? And I know you've heard a lot of terms over the past couple of days, and I know there's been a lot of redefining and relabeling of things in the past. But a role-based agent is really a Copilot experience that is designed for a specific role within an organization, be it a sales professional, be it a marketing professional, a service professional, or a finance professional. A role-based agent is designed not just to be a Copilot, but to be an assistant that is tailored to the needs of that specific role and specific function. And I think we're in the early days of these types of applications, and I think there's going to be a lot more of them to come. Now, one of the great things about sort of rethinking about how a role-based agent could work or how a business application could work is that we have a new foundational platform that we can build upon. And that foundational platform is the Microsoft 365 Copilot. So we often describe this as your everyday AI assistant at work, and it comes to you through the office tools that you probably all know and love, be it Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and the like. How it works is it takes all of the data that's in the Microsoft Graph, all of your emails, your chats, and whatnot. It leverages a large language model and then starts to put that together into both an assistive, a conversational, and an automated UI that you can take advantage of in different ways, shapes, or forms. So when we think about Microsoft 365 Copilot, we think about that as the foundation of a role-based agent. Now then, if we took a specific example on top of that, for example, Microsoft 365 Copilot for Sales, we now have an everyday AI assistant which is really built for a sales team. So the brain of the AI is now tuned to the needs of a seller. And while it still has all of the grounding in the same large language models, the M365 graph, it now brings into view your CRM platform. So all of the data, the business context, the understanding that you have stored in your CRM now is a part of that conversation and can be leveraged when we're assisting a seller in the various activities that they do. Now, I'll point out on the right-hand side there that when I say CRM platform, one of the unique things about this particular offering from Microsoft is that it does not just work with our CRM. So it does work with Dynamics out of the box, but it also works with Salesforce out of the box. And over time, our plan is to really extend that to any CRM in the market, so depending on what you're using. Okay, so when we think about role-based agents, we have 3 role-based agents that are kind of in the portfolio today. Those are Copilot for Sales, which is all about a seller experience and a sales experience. You have Copilot for Service, which is about really an enhanced experience for customer service professionals. And then we have Copilot for Finance, which is our newest offering, which is today in preview, but it's not a GA'd product that you can buy, and we'll look at that in a little bit. Each one of these packages comes bundled with Microsoft 365 Copilot. So if you were to buy Copilot for Sales, you get Copilot for M365 underneath. If you were to buy Copilot for Service, the same, and no different for Finance when that gets to be a GA'd product. We are going to start today's session by kind of diving into a little bit more of Copilot for Sales and looking at how that particular application works, and then we'll kind of stretch to some of the others as we go from there. Okay, so how does all that fit together? And I think when you see a lot of different boxes like that, sometimes it can feel like maybe this is going to be a clunky or a little bit of an awkward experience. But I want to show you that it fits together quite well. So again, if we take the M365 Copilot and think about the graph as sort of the foundational piece of that particular Copilot, and again, it's living inside all of the applications that you take on the top. When you put that in the lens of Copilot for Sales, we take those same experiences and we just bring a sales perspective to each one of them. So in many ways, what we might say is that we want the M365 applications to know how to speak sales. We want you not just to be replying to emails, but we want you to be replying to emails in the context of how a seller might do that. And so on with meetings, with PowerPoint decks, and the like. And of course, again, as I mentioned earlier, this works with both Dynamics and CRM out of the box. So WYSIWYG configuration, super easy to set up, point and click, and away you go. And then we know that not every organization is limited to just data in your CRM and the Microsoft Graph, but we all have data sources in a variety of different places. So then you can use Copilot Studio to extend Copilot for Sales or any of these applications with any of the out-of-the-box connectors or third-party connectors that are built specifically for each one of these tailored offerings. So for example, in sales, we work with a number of sales enablement providers, leading providers in the industry like Seismic, HighSpot, and the like. Okay, so let's go do a quick demo. I'm going to show you how this looks for Copilot for Sales in the context of email, and then I'm going to jump over into Teams. But instead of just looking at them on slides, let's go ahead and jump over to my machine, and we will do a little bit of a demo. Okay, so I'm in my inbox here, and you can see that I've got a few emails that I've got going on. I'm going to jump up right here to the top to a new email that I have from Abby. And you can see that this email says, "Hi, Eric. It would be great to set up an annual account review this month so we can review all the open opportunities. And can we set that up?" So I'm going to go ahead and just say, let's get a summary by Copilot. Now, you'll notice that when I did that summary, actually, I'm going to refresh that because that was cached, and I don't believe in doing a cached demo. So I want to show you that it's real. That was too fast. So let's jump back into that. Okay, so now you can see it's going, and the Copilot is off and working. Now, what it's doing is it's taking the data that we have, again, from the M365 graph, from this particular email, and it's blending it with data that we have from our CRM. In this case, I am connected to an instance of Salesforce. Now, you can see there's quite a rich summary here. We've got some things that point out what Abby has reached out to do. We've got some highlighting of her name here. It talks about the actual opportunity that this is associated with in our CRM. And you'll notice that it happened by default. I didn't have to choose or select that. I just said, give me the summary. And because Copilot for Sales was installed, it automatically went and spun all that up. Now, if I were to go back to the normal conversation summary that we get in the M365 Copilot, you'll see that it's a lot less rich. You'll see this is a great example of how differentiated we can get when we start blending your business context in there. So you get a lot more. So I'm going to jump back to that instance here. And you'll notice there's a call to action right down here at the bottom that says go to sales. So I'm going to click that. Now, what's happening on the right-hand side here is we pull up the app Copilot. That's what we call this. And it's loading on the right-hand side. But you'll notice that it's loading in the context of sales, in the context of Copilot for Sales in this case. And what it's doing is it's really bringing back a ton of interesting information about this particular opportunity that we have. So we can see here recent communications that we've had with Abby, and we could go summarize those recent emails. We get a summary of what we call key sales info. Let me do a F11 here too. Maybe we get a little bit more screen real estate. There we go. We can see that she is the account owner, or I'm the account owner, and we can see who Abby is. We see all of her information there. We even get a direct pull of all of the connected records from Salesforce pulled directly back into here. So I can go back down, for example, to the opportunity. I can click on that opportunity, and I can even make edits to it. So of course I get a summary up there, but I don't have to leave the context of my work to make changes here. So it can all happen directly in the context of an email. Now, if you put this in front of a seller, and you ask a seller to keep the CRM up to date with all the data that they need from their emails, you're going to have a hard time getting them to do that if you've worked in sales. It's something that, quite frankly, they don't like to do. This is a solution that makes that just easy for them. It makes it simple, it puts it directly in the flow of the work, and it will even prompt them to make updates. So for example, if I go to this other email up here that I've got at the top, and I'm going to click on this one, see if we can get that to load. Not sure why it's not loading. Let me just refresh my browser. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and summarize this email. So we're doing the exact same flow. We've got a little bit of a longer email, and you'll notice that there's some more information in this particular email. So we're going to go ahead and open up that sidecar experience again. And now we're pulling back all that information from Salesforce so that we can take action on it. And as I jump down here, you'll notice that there's a number of what are called suggested updates. So the AI is understanding that the account seems to have changed in terms of the budget, and the close date seems to have changed. And in this case, I don't have to go anywhere to take action. I can just say update opportunity. I can select that record, and again, fills it in with the proper amount, click update, and I'm done. Now, in the future, we're actually working on automating this through an agent. So this is something that you'll be able to configure to happen automatically, where the AI can start to reason over these emails as people are reading them and make the updates directly into your CRM if you choose so. All right, so there's a lot more in Outlook, but I'm not going to have time to show you all that. Instead, I'm going to jump over into Teams, and I'm going to show you how meetings start to get a lot better when you're using Copilot for Sales. So this is a meeting that happened earlier, and you'll notice that we have the nice meeting recap. Now, I don't know how many of you are using today meeting recap in Teams. Yeah, I see a number of hands go up. It's a great and phenomenal feature. The AI meeting notes are really, really powerful. Well, what's great about this experience now is that we now also have a sales tab. So Copilot for Sales brings into context a sales tab here where we get additional information about this meeting. So we're going to see things like post-meeting actions. We know we need to send a follow-up email to our customer here. And in fact, Copilot's going to write one for us. So I can click draft an email, and it'll take the highlights from that meeting summary, and it'll put it together and allow me to just send that right off to the customer from there. Now, our next capability that we're working on here is that you'll actually have a prompt bar right below it where you'll be able to tailor this in line. So if you want to change this email, if you want to update it, make it a little bit different, you can go ahead and apply some prompts, and that's coming soon. We've also got suggested follow-ups. So anything that the AI understands from the meeting that needs to be follow-up on, we can go ahead and prompt you to create tasks directly in the CRM, so we can go ahead and get those created. And then we've also got all the questions from the meeting that were asked, and we've even get statistics on sort of like talk-to-listen ratio and things like that. So if you have new sellers on your team and you're interested in coaching them on how to get better, there's a lot of great capabilities here. Now, rather than just doing more demo and rather than you sort of listening to me talk about this, I'm going to jump back to my slides, and I'm going to invite Karan and Jason up onto the stage, and we're going to hear a little bit more about how this works for a real customer, so you don't have to listen to the product guy talk about it, but you can listen to an actual customer. So let's go ahead and roll this video.
We are an intelligent power management company, and AI is a part of that intelligence, without a doubt.
Eaton's innovations help solve our customers' energy challenges reliably, efficiently, and safely.
AI initiatives really drive improvement in the relationship between IT and the rest of our business. To achieve this goal, we turned to Microsoft 365 Copilot. We started with productivity use cases, then we started to move into different functions like finance.
Copilot has helped us with the monumental task of documenting over 9,000 standard operating procedures. Each SOP was previously a time-intensive manual process, often taking an hour. With Copilot, each one now takes just 10 minutes, a time savings of 83%.
The impact of this finance transformation has extended to customer service. With Copilot for Service and Copilot for Sales, we're aiming to strengthen our approach, providing CRM insights to speed responses and improve customer experience, with faster data access, reducing response times by 20%.
That's a really huge opportunity for us in partnership with our customers.
We're able to develop custom agents with Copilot Studio. Agents really allows us to bring AI to everyone in every process that they do.
I don't think there's ever been a technology that's been that accessible and practical to use. Copilot is limitless. It's a pretty explosive opportunity for Eaton to really provide superior service and superior outcomes for our customers.
Perfect. I am so thrilled to be having this conversation with one of the leading AI adopters. Before we jump into the conversation, hi everyone, my name is Karan Nigam and I lead product marketing for our customer experience portfolio. And I'm thrilled to have Jason Peppes here today to talk about how Eaton is transforming the way they work using AI and Copilots. So Jason, welcome to Ignite.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
I'm curious, first of all, like I know that you and your team are chartered to drive the adoption of new technologies in AI, and things are moving at an unprecedented pace. So why don't we start the conversation, first of all, understanding how you and your team are placed in the organization, your role, and the introduction in general.
Sure. So Jason Pappas here. I head up AI and innovation. We're part of the IT organization. So we have responsibility for all employee, functional, and in-app type AI experiences. And really our mission is to drive a digital mindset and improve the digital mindset across our 90,000 employees.
Yeah, perfect. It's a big charter, and I'm excited that you're at the helm of it. I'm curious, what was the motivation behind adopting a new technology like Copilot for Sales? Were there particular business outcomes that you were looking to drive?
Yeah, well, I'll be very honest with you, Karan. Our sales leaders saw this product, right?
Yeah.
They got a demonstration of it, and they were hooked.
Yeah.
They were immediately hooked by the concept of enabling the seller, enabling the employee experience within the sales function. Yeah. That improves the employee experience, and typically that leads to improved customer experience as well as additional sales.
Yeah. I'm assuming as a part of this rollout, you're spending a lot of time with sellers. Are there particular use cases that they're more energized about, that are resonating the most?
Yeah, I think within our selling community, the idea of being able to get back to the customer, to spend time with the customer, I think that's a huge benefit to the folks. But being able to stay in the tools that they use, you saw the demos that Aaron gave.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm in Outlook, I'm in Teams already all day when I'm at a computer. Why do I have to jump back and forth between Salesforce and these tools? It's just a much better experience for them.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, in all my customer conversations, that is one of the scenarios that is absolutely on top. That if I'm in the flow of work, why do I have to jump to some other app to do that action? So that absolutely tracks. Now, anytime you're in the business of rolling out new technology, there's a ton of change management involved. I'm sure people in this room deal with it every day. Any tips and tricks that you found effective that they can learn from?
Yeah, definitely. So we have Copilot. We have Copilot M365 rolled out along a large swath of the organization, and then moving with sales and service. And I think what's really important is that you can't do it yourself, right? It really is a team sport. So we enlisted functional champions across our different functions, whether that be sales, service, marketing, HR, finance. So you saw one gentleman from finance there on the video. But we got those folks so they could give us some additional feet on the ground, some additional bandwidth and coverage. But the other thing was, these are the people who are there working within their function. They know their processes. They know what they're doing within those functions. And they can bring back very unique feedback and unique experiences to us that we can then work to integrate.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I was in the team when Microsoft Teams was just starting to roll out. And that was one of the biggest things that we realized at that time, that change management is such a big piece of successful adoption. And we're seeing the same with all the Copilots now as well. So that's great. Now, M365 Copilot, Aaron talked about it, how the Copilot for Sales, Service, and Finance, they're all built on top of M365 Copilot. You've adopted both. What is the incremental value that you've seen with the Copilot for Sales and others?
Yeah, I think the incremental value that you see is, number one, as I mentioned, kind of keeping people in the flow of work. But then if you think about keeping them in the flow of work, you avoid that swivel chair, right? Which leads to better data quality. It leads to more utilization of CRM. As Aaron said, sellers hate to use CRM. If they can do it more easily, if they can hit a button, if they can be given that information surfaced at their fingertips within the context of their work, we see that as a real benefit.
Yeah, I would love to just reinforce this point that one of the biggest challenges that have come across in all the discussions with sales leaders is data hygiene. That tends to be such a massive problem in every company at every size. And with technologies like this, where you don't have to go to a different tool to update the CRM records and just do it in the workflow, it's been a massive, massive benefit for just data hygiene as well, for sure. So last question from my side. As I said, you are at the cutting edge of AI. You're adopting all these new technologies, tools to help Eaton move forward in the future. What are you excited about as you think about AI? Like, we're still in the early innings
Yeah.
in some ways.
Yeah. So Microsoft's doing a great job, right, of providing the types of functional experiences, right, to sellers, customer service, and finance. But the ability for us to take a look at things like the agent experience with Copilot Studio and Copilot Actions, things like that, extending these great tools with our very specific business processes, our very specific systems beyond Salesforce. So we can really customize and drive these into our actual sales processes or service processes.
Well, that's great. I appreciate you joining us at Ignite. Thank you for being at the forefront of AI adoption and helping us get better. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please give a round of applause to Jason. We spend a lot of time internally just developing hypothesis of what the product problem statement is, product experience should be like, developing the use cases, but none of that really becomes real till the time customers actually adopt it and then start using it and give us feedback. That's why customers like Eaton are so critical for us to continue fine-tuning the experience for better. And Eaton's not the only one. We're seeing some of the global brands, leading brands in the world, starting to adopt role-based agents to fine-tune their capabilities, their functions like sales, service, finance. I'll give an example of a couple of them. Lumen, which is one of the leading communication network company, they are using Lumen to actually reduce the amount of time sellers require to prepare for customer meetings from hours to 15 to 20 minutes. That's a massive, massive change because they don't have to go back and forth between their Outlook teams or the CRM system. Everything is available right where they are in the flow of work. Another great example is Investec. It's a big investment bank. And one of the things that the way they've structured their teams is multiple people in account teams can talk to the same customer. But one of the problem that creates is every conversation happens, and if even a single person forgets to update the record, the next conversation happens with stale information. But now, because they can just update all the information, the latest information on the customer conversations, right from Outlook and Teams, the records are always up to date. So whenever the next agent is discussing the conversation with customer, they have the latest information, right? So very, very, really powerful scenarios where your CRM data, everything is available to you, and you can view it, update it right where you work, is starting to become a real new way of working. I'll touch on a couple of other things quickly. One of the things that we keep hearing from customers is, this is great, but how do I talk about value? Because my management wants to understand what is the business value of adopting this. And then second, it's great for you to roll out new agents and new set of tools and products, but how tough is it to adopt all this? So we've been doing a lot of heavy lifting on our side to make it easy for you. First of all, on business value. We recently conducted a study with Forrester, a total economic study. And the intention really was to get a very clear sense of the projected benefits of adopting Copilot for Sales. So these are some of the key points that came out from that study, which was done, I think, 2 weeks ago, completed. The projected medium ROI is nearly 300% for companies that have adopted Copilot for Sales. There is an approximately 6-ish% increase in the revenue because you're able to close more deals, you're able to close deals faster, as well as the transaction value is going up because the service person, the salesperson is able to actually spend time with customer and not just in research and preparation. And then the last one really was interesting, which is a lot of sellers are actually demotivated because they're spending so much time in these tools. So if the day-to-day work experience is actually quite tardy for them. So we actually saw a 10% increase in the employee churn rate because now they're actually a lot more happy. They don't have to switch between these tools, and everything they care about is right within where the work happens. So just a powerful data point for you as you start thinking about talking to your management, your teams around the need and the value of adopting a tool like this. I'll actually let you guys download this report if anyone's interested. Here's the QR code that will take you directly to the report, so you're able to share it with your teams as well. So that was ROI. The second important thing, again, was adoption. We at Microsoft love rolling out new technologies, but we also have to acknowledge and understand that we need to help our customers adopt them. So we've developed an exhaustive set of content which can help you with adoption. So we have an adoption site. Again, there's a QR code if you want to take a photograph of that will point you directly to that website. And the interesting thing about this website is you have content that you can use to have strategic conversations on the value of a product like this with your leadership. So there's a tab called Leadership where you have high-level documents that can help you land the strategy of it. You also have technical documents which will allow you to actually think about how to deploy it successfully, user guides, email kits. So when you start rolling it out and you have to send emails to your employees on what this tool is and how to use it, all of that is fully fleshed out for you, and all you have to do is just start using it. So there's a lot of effort that's gone in to make sure that you have all the tools you need to get started. I'll share a couple of examples just to give you a sense. One of the interesting questions we get always is, I just bought Copilot for Sales. How do I start? Where do I start? So we've developed a bunch of assets. This is an example of just us giving you a set of examples of things you can do. One of the most used things that we come across is how do you view and update your CRM records right from Outlook Teams? How do you create a new record? That's something that's very simple and very powerful to use right away. You can generate documents, emails, and of course, meeting summaries in this tool as well, as Aaron showed in the demo. And the last thing I'll just quickly show in adoption is we understand that when we say seller, not every person has the same role in a sales organization. Sales organizations have various roles within them. So we've also developed adoption assets or some ideas on how to get started, what to do, what to try, based on your role. So here you see an example of a sales executive, a leader, an actual enablement manager. So for different roles, you can use this product on a day-to-day basis in a slightly more nuanced manner. So you can get started with some of these assets right away. So we talked about how Eaton has adopted Copilot for Sales, the ROI, nearly 300% projected ROI, and then of course, all the adoption guides that we've built for you so you can get started in a really quick manner. With that, let's talk about the future. So I'll pass it on back to Aaron to talk about Copilot for Finance and the future roadmap.
All right, thanks, Karan.
Of course.
Let's hear it for Karan and Jason. Yeah, appreciate it. All right, so what does the future hold and sort of where are we going? Well, the first thing I want to do is give you a little bit of insight into Copilot for Finance, which is, again, one of the newest role-based agents that were built and is in preview right now, so you can get your hands on it. We are really open to feedback on this product, so if you would like to give it a test run, please do, and share what you're learning. We know that the role of finance is really complex and evolving, and as we talk to finance professionals, we know that they play a key role in making sure that the operations of an organization are done correctly, done well, done fiscally responsibly. But we know there's a lot of work there, and we know it's a messy, messy job in many organizations. And so with Copilot for Finance, we really believe that we can accelerate business impact and help finance professionals be a lot more effective and proficient at their job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a quick video here. I think this is about 5 minutes long, which kind of shows you what Copilot for Finance does and a few of the things that are coming in the future. So I'll go ahead and roll this video.
In modern enterprises, such as Microsoft, Chanel, and Dentsu, having accurate financial data is crucial for making informed decisions. However, with data dispersed across multiple tools, ensuring accuracy can be a daunting task. Meet Devin, a finance manager at Northwind Traders. As a manager, he's responsible for ensuring financial data is consistent across the entire organization to generate consolidated financial statements. Northwind Traders' finance department is using data reconciliation in Copilot for Finance to accelerate this process. Devin will be reconciling intercompany transactions between their Ireland and Germany subsidiaries for September. This is a lengthy and tedious weekly process, with Devin spending countless hours manually cleaning up and preparing the data exported from disparate financial systems, writing formulas to find records that were incorrectly recorded, and following through with data corrections. He's aware that Copilot for Finance can help him in this process, so he's decided to give it a try. First, Devin needs to clean the exported data. This process usually takes many clicks and would be hard to automate with traditional tools. However, Copilot for Finance can take over, automate, and make this process simpler. This starts with Devin providing simple instructions.
This is a purchase invoice exported from Dynamics. I need to make sure that total amount is separated into two columns, one for amount and another for currency. Then I need to delete all the lines with empty transaction description. Eliminate any lines that are negating each other by total amount and transaction description combination. And lastly, run my intercompany reconciliation template to compare this table with this sheet.
Based on a brief description while taking into consideration areas of the screen the user has selected, Copilot for Finance prepares an action plan and shares it with Devin for review. Copilot for Finance is an expert at cleansing and reconciling financial data. It has a rich library of actions it can apply, such as eliminating irrelevant records, cleaning out duplicates, or making sure information is in the right columns and rounding rules are applied. In this case, Copilot followed Devin's instruction and created a plan, combining task patterns that already exist in Copilot for Finance and custom tasks which are generated through Devin's instructions. It even proactively suggested a couple of additional tasks that make the financial data cleansing process an easier ride. Finally, it uses Devin's preferred reconciliation templates to review cleaned records and identify transactions that need some attention. Devin is in full control and can correct any tasks that Copilot might not get right or add new ones. The process is executed with a single click. Once completed, Devin can review the result and, if needed, refine the process until he's fully confident everything looks good. After the action plan is set, he can save it as a template and configure it to run on a recurring basis, completing his reconciliation end-to-end, with issues that need attention reported to him over Teams. Devin can run this process daily, keeping the data accurate and uncovering issues as soon as they occur. With Copilot for Finance, reconciling financial transactions is simple, automating manual tasks while improving financial accuracy and efficiency. Time flies and a week has passed. Per his routine, Devin begins his day by turning on his computer, which automatically launches Teams in the background. The reconciliation agent notifies Devin about its results on intercompany transactions. It looks like there are some discrepancies that the reconciliation agent could not address automatically and require Devin's input. He clicks on View Report, revealing the report details. The reconciliation agent generates troubleshooting assistance and provides a detailed audit view, which reveals what steps were executed and what automated actions were taken to remediate the issues it found. In this view, Devin can also examine transactions in detail, along with actions proposed by the agent. In this case, the agent considered learnings from past executions and identified that related documents could not be posted due to the configuration change performed by Sarah, an accountant. To address this issue, Devin initiates a call with Sarah. When setting up a Teams meeting from the reconciliation report, Copilot automatically gathers and shares all the necessary contextual information for the call, streamlining the conversation for optimal efficiency. During this meeting, Devin and Sarah get to the bottom of the issue and agree on a plan of action. Devin can now return to other duties, resting assured that the agent will keep him informed of any changes in the data and the results of subsequent reconciliations. Faster than he expected, Devin is informed of the resolution. An issue that would have taken days to resolve is fixed within a few hours. From onboarding an agent with one click to immediate business value by saving time on period close. In addition, the reconciliation agent is fully configurable, adaptable to company needs, and can be further trained and monitored by Northwind Traders administrators in Copilot Studio. No pro-dev skills required. With the next generation of Copilot, the boundaries are moved as it self-monitors and adapts reconciliation routines even when data changes. Northwind Traders use self-managed reconciliation agents to focus only on areas flagged for finance professionals, leaving everything else to Copilot for Finance.
Yeah, a lot of great capabilities there and exciting stuff. So give it a test run and let us know what you think. So as we think about our AI roadmap for role-based agents, I always think about it through sort of 3 legs of a stool. And I think that you've seen actually all 3 of those legs in some of the videos and the demos that we've done for you today. The first is what we call assistive capabilities. This is where Copilot and AI shows up where you're already working to help make a task or a job function easier. So I'm sending an email, I'm reading emails, I'm in sales meetings. Let's assist in each of those capabilities and make those specific to your role and make those better, more productive, more effective. So that's the assistive part and clearly where we started with these products. The second and what's next is conversational capabilities. You've heard a lot about agents here at Ignite this week. Agents really come in 2 forms. They come in conversational agents and then they come as automated agents. And we're investing in both sort of simultaneously. So we've got a lot more coming in terms of what you'll be able to use natural language to dialogue with Copilot for Sales or Service or Finance and talk to it and let it reason over your CRM data, your ERP data, and other data sources. And then we have a lot more coming in terms of automation as well. As sort of shared in the keynotes, when we think about these 3 legs of the stool, from the left side, that's really where Copilot shows up as UI. It's showing up in those applications, in the places where you're already working. And then from the right side, the agents is where you really start to get into a lot more of those automated capabilities. Now, as I wrap up and as I close, one of the things that I want to share with you is that we've got right around the corner our new conversational sales agent, which will come as a part of Copilot for Sales. So this will be configured out of the box. When you install Copilot for Sales, it will be automatically installed. And sellers can switch to it and use natural language to inquire of their CRM data and their M365 data in a blended fashion. This is really exciting because this is where you can start to ask questions like, tell me when my next meeting is with this upcoming customer. And it's not just using the data that you have in your calendar, but it's using the data that you have in your CRM system to really bring you insights about that next meeting and get you prepared. The boundaries here are sort of limitless because there's so much that we know you can do here. So this sales agent will be a foundational capability. And then, of course, you'll use Copilot Studio to tune it, to add knowledge, and to make it your own because we recognize that each one of these things really needs to be fine-tuned to the needs of your organization. Finally, as we get to automation, there's really going to be 2 types of automation that you're going to see. There's going to be system-defined automation and user-defined automation. In the keynote, Rajesh yesterday shared a lot about actions in M365. That's a really exciting capability that Copilot for Sales, Service, and Finance will all take advantage of. So we will have sales templates, service templates, and finance templates that put in the hands of your users the ability to create their own automations that do things for them. So at the end of a meeting with a specific customer, you can give prompts and instruction to the large language model to summarize things in a certain format and then automatically save it, send it along to other people as well. So really exciting capabilities. And then our system-defined agents will do even more. They'll do things like research leads on your behalf. They'll do things like prompt you for CRM updates automatically in the background and really start to take more of a proactive posture rather than just a reactive posture that we have with the assistive capabilities. So with that, I'm going to put some resources on the screen, but I really want to thank you for taking time out, for being here at the end of the day, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your time at Ignite. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out or come up and talk to us afterwards. Thank you.